They're going to figure out a way to do it. They're going to take something that may end up hurting them. It goes back to the old days when women used to go in the alley and get abortions because it wasn't legal. Right. But it's almost as a worker hurting them. It goes back to the old days. Oh, I think I got some feedback over here. But I mean, how do y'all feel about it?
I wouldn't do it, but that's my own personal opinion.
I personally feel, you know, there's so much that goes with a miscarriage. There's the emotional baggage that comes after that, you know, all those things. I personally wouldn't do it because you don't know, it could go wrong. Like, you know, you have all the time people thought they had a miscarriage and the baby's all calcified in their body.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's no guarantee. So
I would probably suggest they go out and ask a doctor for the morning after pill or something. I wouldn't want to be responsible.
Yeah, but at the morning after pill, that's 72 hours. So once you're past that 72 hours, then, you know, there's no go. Then it really is an abortion. Like I found out, and I didn't know this, you know how they do the test to see if your child has a handicap or things like that? And if the parent decides, you know, I don't want to have this child because I believe in quality life over quantity of life, things like that, they actually put a needle in the baby's heart and kill it. Yeah, I did not know that.
I read that years ago because I had a client that her baby was going to be a Down syndrome baby, and they decided that they weren't going to take the pregnancy to term. And I kept thinking, how are you going to terminate the pregnancy? Because she was kind of far along. She was over 3 months when she found this out. And she told me that. It was almost like, oh, no, that I wouldn't be okay with.
I don't know what I would do, to be honest with you. I mean, because I know the older you get as you start to have a child, there's a 1.3 chance that it may be a Down syndrome baby or, you know, autistic, things like that. And that's something that I'm really thinking about. I'm like, maybe I just really do want to adopt because I don't want to have to be put in that place of having to make that choice as I do.
Yeah.
And the quality of life, because I'm not going to always be around.
I think that's really hard for a woman or a man and a woman when you come to that point, because you said it's not so much can I go ahead and supply for this child for the next, you know, 20 years if that's their life expectancy, because we also know that those problems sometimes shorten life. But I have clients that literally are old and they have kids that have special needs, and you know, the biggest fear is who's going to take care of my child when I die. So I kind of agree with you on that. I think it's a hard decision for anybody to make. But it shocked me too when she told me that they put a needle in the heart. And I was just like, I don't know if I could do that.
There's such a guilt that comes with that. And you know, of course, people are going to try to shame you for it. But in the end, they're also probably not going to be taking care of that child when, you know, push comes to, you know, shove.
Exactly. It's hard. It would be a hard decision. You have to think that if a pregnancy is viable and it goes to term, no matter how the child comes out, maybe that's part of your lesson or part of your life path that you're supposed to do it or take care of it. But I mean, honestly, emotions, financial obligations, medical things, all that would have to be taken into consideration. So when I was reading the post with that in the group, because I don't know the young lady's situation or her friend's situation or whatever was going on, you know, that's why I tend not to be judgmental and things like that. But I always wonder, because I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, but I always wonder how other workers would deal with it. Now, I know I put a question where he wanted to talk about cross conditions. Like, how do you know when you're crossed or things like that? And I'm going to tell you, because this never happened to me, but I knew it was a hit when it happened. And there's so many different ways, because I know we're all going to have different stories about it. But I remember, was it last year? I think it was last year. I'm so discombobulated with time right now. I can't even, I don't know what the fuck year we're in other than 2020. It's a fuck fest. So I think it was last year. I was getting up and the room was spinning. And I opened my eyes and I was like, okay, the room like was just going whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And it was making me nauseated. And the more I tried to sit up, the faster the room would spin. So I just laid back down in bed, and Mama Star always told me anytime anything unusual happens, just start praying, talking to your guides, your ancestors. And so I did it, and I laid there for an hour, and I prayed, and eventually the room stopped spinning. But I got a reading, and then I looked at my cards too, and it came from a female. They had did some work, and they hit me. They got me, and I mean got me in a major way. Some people have vertigo all freaking week. I heard about hits where people have it for a while. I was blessed. I was an hour and it was gone, but it was so freaking uncomfortable. What about y'all? Because I'm pretty sure we all got a story about when you got hit. What happened?
Well, I know Tonya knows when I got hit, because the minute I got, I was like, Tonya, I cannot believe this just happened. Mostly because, you know, Tanya's always fussing at me. She's like, Shishi, just because it's not something you would do doesn't mean that others wouldn't do it. I kind of stay in my lane with stuff. I really don't throw at people unless they do something to me. And so if people are like, did Shishi throw at you? Or no, did Shishi throw at us? I'm like, did you do something to her first? Is always the question, as I don't instigate baneful magic just to do it. But when it happened to me, I mean, they got me good. And from what I understand, it was a multiple layered spell. So it was affecting my money, my friendships, my relationship, my car, my job, my health. It was a layered spell, but it wasn't something that they did all at once. It was like a patient kind of spell. And they would sprinkle it in a bit at a time. Those are the things that you don't notice until it finally hits to that bigger point. So what did I do? Well, I realized they had affected the spirits in my house, and I always have ghosts or spirits in my house. My house has a spirit, you know, it's to protect you. And once I realized that, I had felt, you know, just drained and really frustrated, I called all my spirits back to my house. And I had to apologize to each of them, and, you know, and honor them, and build that protection back up. So I called all my spirits back to me, and then strengthen the wards around me and strengthen the wards in my house. But I think when you start elevating your guardians, should you have them, then that will help take care of the situation. But a lot of it is definitely cleansing, and automatically the reversal candle. And of course, for me, after I realized someone threw at me, that I'm like, now I have to go and do a baneful magic spell. And I really just wanted to sit down and have a glass of wine, but this can't go unanswered. And so, you know, that's when you have to really get into the ordering of the insect, scorpion, and all that other stuff, you know, to get stuff going.
It's true. What about you, Lynna?
I don't know if I was hit or just had some shitty luck or got caught up in the middle of somebody else's stuff. But it was last October. And remember, we were in Galveston because I had to pick Walker up from doing the homecoming float. And we were on the way home, and this is before I got the truck. It's when I had the Firebird. And on the way home, this pickup, I was in like the slow lane, and there was a pickup in the lane next to me, and he just came right over, just smashed my car going down the road. And of course, you know, I can't chase him down, and because my kids are in the car. And then a week later, I go across the country with a friend who's been my friend for over 20 years, had a shitty trip. The entire trip was just shitty. We argued, got pissy with each other, stopped talking to each other for 11 months?
Yeah.
Over the deal. And so I don't know if that was someone throwing at me or if it was just a bad luck. I don't know. But I did cleanse myself. I cleansed myself and I prayed to St. Michael.
Yeah, I guarantee you it was a hit. I think a lot of people, you got to look at things that come out of the ordinary. Like you say, you thought it was a string of bad luck. Just like this week, and it made me think, okay, somebody they spanked me a little bit. They didn't get me exactly the way they wanted, but I had an issue with the pyogenic graniola that I had removed, and now it's growing back. So I got to spend more money to get it removed again. Then had to take Yoda to the vet a few times, and we still got to go back, and he may end up needing surgery, so more money. Then I had some plants outside that literally have just died because they took the brunt of the hit. So my trees, my shrubs, everything in the front is black. So when you start looking at things, and what they're doing is they're hitting my money. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make me spend money to replenish things that they're tearing apart. So when you take a hit, they're either going to hit your mind. They're going to go for your head first, confusion. Is this a hit? Am I seeing things? Do I not know this? Then the next phase is going to be your money. Then your relationships. So they're going to tear everything about. And then if you have a vehicle or anything worth value that they feel like could cause bodily harm. So it's a method to the madness. But yeah, no, it's crazy because a lot of times you don't even fucking know who's hitting you, who's throwing at you.
Which is unfortunate. I mean, but most of the time we all discover it's somebody that you do know, somebody that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, that's the sad part though, because I guarantee you, like you say, the biggest hits are always coming from people that are in your circle. They know of you, they hang around people that you know, or they personally have been around you, your house, whatever. I've heard about people that have people spend the night and leave shit under the bed, behind the dresser, and these are supposed to be friends or were friends.
You know, it's really disappointing because it comes to the point where you have to ask, what was the purpose of it? You know?
It makes you almost question yourself, like, what did I do?
Yeah. And a lot of the time you didn't do anything at all. At all.
Exactly. You know, what I've learned in the spirit community, just in our circle of the people that we know, sometimes people get paranoid, and because you're looking at them different or you're moving different, all of a sudden you become the person that's causing problems in their life. Like I've had so many people this month that were like, I think so-and-so is working on me. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're not. But these people are already ready to do work on that person, but they got the wrong person. So I think some of it comes from paranoia. Sometimes you can get misguided with information, but you end up being in a crossfire. You might not even be the problem.
Well, sometimes it's insecurity too. A lot of why people throw is insecurity.
Girl.
And so then you end up in this war. You've lost friends, you've lost money, you've lost time, energy for something that could possibly be fixed without you having to throw it.
Well, you know what? I always tell people 80% of this shit could be dealt with a conversation. 80% of it could be dealt with a conversation. If it's envy or jealousy, how did you build your business up? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let me help you get there too, or let you help me get there. If it's about a friend, third party situations, he said, she said, let's talk about it and see what really happened. I'm so confused right now because I have friends that are not friends with other people that I know that I don't even know what the hell went on with the situation. I'm at a point where I don't know who we friends with, who we not friends with at this point. So sometimes you end up on the wrong road and you get thrown at because you still have a friendship with somebody that the other person is upset with.
But the thing is, go ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead. I was done.
The thing is, if they're your friends, they wouldn't put you in that place to have to make a choice anyway.
Exactly.
They shouldn't.
I would say that's so high school.
They shouldn't. But a lot of people do it.
Be friends with Shishi because she's not my friend.
I mean,
exactly.
You know.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I'm done.
I was gonna say, it's weird because sometimes people meet a friend through another friend, and then those two friends end up hanging out more than the original friend that introduced them, and then that creates a problem. Somebody feels left out. Somebody feels like they did something wrong. And I mean, and it sucks because in that case, that, that leaves like a sore mark on a friendship, a bridge burned for nothing. But I think, once again, what you said, it comes down to communication and talking about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it could be settled, but the people that are doing this stuff don't want to talk. They don't want to talk. They want to be shady. They want to be underhanded. I've lost a few friends within the last, what, 2 or 3 years, that I've helped because they turned around and they threw at me and it was no valid reason. No valid reason. I didn't do anything to them. So I think the thing about it is too, discernment comes in where you kind of have to either start watching your circle, because you're going to realize that there could be one-sided friendships. What we call a friend may not actually be a friend. Or the friendship is there because there is attachments, well, you can help me build up my business, or you can I'm your friend because you can do something for me, and then when you're not needed anymore, then I'm gonna work your ass. Which is so wrong.
It is
an agenda.
That's the worst. I think, like also some of the most toxic relationships that you see where people start throwing is the trauma bonding, when one person heals and the other person still isn't healed, and they feel like, oh, well, this person's snubbing me.
Yeah.
You see that too. But sometimes friendships change because people change. And I mean, let's be honest, you're not the same person that I met how many years ago, Tonya? I'm not the same person that you met.
Absolutely.
And that's the purpose, is to grow, but then also to accept that each person grows. And either you grow with them, you accept it, or you don't. But just because people change or they walk a different way, like you say, doesn't require that you punish them for their growth or for their, whatever move it may be.
You know what? That's a good word, punish. That's a good way to look at it, because like you say, that's the way I feel. I feel like a couple of people punished me because we outgrew each other. Now, I don't feel like the friendship couldn't have still been there. I think that we were just going the pace of I don't even know what you want to call it, because I feel like I'm loyal. If I'm your friend, I'm your friend. Now, I'm not going to always agree with everything that you do. I may not even support everything that you do, but I want to say that if you call me or Lynna calls me, I'm going to be there like, okay, all right, we cool. I don't have a problem. But I do agree with you, because we're supposed to evolve. We're supposed to grow. If I was the same person 5 years ago, that's like fucked up. You want your friends to at least you want them to walk with you as far as they can. Sometimes the path is going to shorten where one person has to go a different direction, but that doesn't mean that the friendship has to end. It just takes on different energy.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, go ahead, Lynna. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, people grow. Not only that, but sometimes we just get busy. And if your friendship is strong enough, you don't have to be each other's ass all the time. You can go a week, 2 weeks, couple months without talking to each other and still be friends. But you have to understand that I got to take my kids places. I got stuff to do. Shishi's got to go to work. Tonya's got to do what Tonya's got to do. Tonya, you're muted. But we have lives too, outside of just that person. And a lot of people don't understand that either. They're like, oh, we used to talk all the time. Now you never talk to me. What's wrong? And nothing. I'm just busy.
I think for me, like, as I've gotten older, I've kind of, I've gotten emotional in certain ways. Like, certain things bother me more than other things, but then a lot of times other things don't bother me because I'm almost 40. So I guess it comes to that point where they say, when you turn 40, there's just some shit you don't care about anymore. You're just like,
Girl, wait till you hit 50. You're going to be like, you know what? Y'all do whatever.
I look forward to that. I'm just going to be like, fuck it, I paid my dues. But what I've discovered in many of my friendships that have ended or stalled is because now they're like, oh, you're bougie, or, you're emotional over these weird things. But the things that I get emotional over are like stereotyping people. Like, because I've changed, and they're like, that is not how a Black woman is supposed to act, or that is not how a witchy woman's supposed to act. And I'm just like, why are you trying to place me in a box? And so what I've discovered is, as I grow, the more and more people want you to be in a box.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult thing, I think, for many people. Like I said, you end up being punished, for many people to understand that you've changed. this isn't your box anymore. Your box has now been moved elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Because here's the thing, the older you get, you actually feel limitless, not limited. When you're younger, you feel limited. You got to ask somebody to go here. You got to ask somebody to give you money for this. As you get older and you get your own independence, you don't need people as much. You don't need that validation. And that's where things kind of get a little bit kooky with friendships, because some people, like you said, they don't understand your growth. That's not bougie. That's somebody who's maturing, that actually their focus is changing. And instead of, working against this person, we should be celebrating. We should be, especially in the community, as magical people. We literally should be, excited about, a friend that reaches a certain level, because that means that my friend may be able to talk to me and teach me some things. They're gaining a certain point of wisdom. So instead of me working against that person, maybe, you know what, let's let this go, so that maybe I can get on that same vibration or learn this knowledge. I think people egos, envy, jealousy, things like that get in the way, because we think that people elevating themselves or growing is a bad thing in the community.
And that brings up something too, is if somebody throws at somebody because say they're jealous of them or whatever reason, if they hurt that person or that friendship completely breaks, how the fuck they ever going to find out what it is that made that person successful? They're burning their own bridge.
But a lot of the time, people don't want to. They don't care about the amount of work that you do. I mean, you see people, and I mean, you see it all the time. Like, there's people who work their ass off, and then you have people who don't work their ass off. They're charlatans, and they have more followers. But then the person who doesn't have many followers works their ass off all the time, and eventually that person gets where they want to be because they've been doing that background work. They've been studying and doing all the stuff they want. And so then when they reach there, you have a lot of people who are like, well, they got there in no time. They were nobody, and all of a sudden they're big. But it wasn't that. It was that background work that they were doing when nobody was looking at it. No one was seeing it. And so instead of like looking at the work that person had to do, all the shit they had to climb through, all the things that they had to work out among themselves, they just automatically say, okay, well, they shouldn't be here. They don't deserve to be here. But then there you are. Here you are in the spiritual community. And so you want people, you say, oh, elevate and awaken. But then you have people who are like, oh, wait, but we want to limit the amount of elevation that you can reach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so they don't really want to know what that person had to do to get where they got. They just don't want them to be there, and they want to be in that spot.
Yeah. But here's my thing too, because the ancestors know. The ancestors know how hard you work. They know the energy that you put in. They open the roads for you. So your path is going to be completely different from mine, because your people are going to say, this is what Tina deserves. This is what she's getting. This is her path. And it may not be my path. I may not get the same opportunities, but that doesn't mean that my opportunities aren't coming. But people, there's no patience. Everybody wants to go through A to Z. They want an A to Z. And we know, we have a mutual friend that felt that way, that, I want to just open up and start reading, and I want to be, the supreme of the supreme of the supreme. But you're walking on other people's backs, not mine, other ancestors and people who have put time into this, who have opened up doors and things like that. So I think that's ego, that's cockiness. If you feel like you can come into a practice and be the high priestess or the supreme witch or whatever it is, without doing the work, without the sacrifices.
Right.
And then you're going to get fucked up because you're working against somebody that literally doesn't have a problem with you, that you're trying to throw in roadblocks, and that person's ancestors and the spirits that walk with them, they might let you spank that person a little bit, just kind of get like their attention. Like, hey, somebody's trying to do something. But once that person gets connected to their ancestors again and that power comes back up, you're going to get your ass handed to you. I promise you. And it has nothing to do with fairness. I know a lot of people say, oh, you don't have to be fair. You don't have to be right. You don't have to do things this way. You know, we're eclectic. We can do whatever. True, you can. But I'm going to tell you right now, fuck with the wrong person for the wrong reason, and you're going to get got.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get got. People have protections up that you may not even understand.
Well, you know, it's also like, you're going to get got, but you're going to get got in a different way. Like, I'm going to go back to this point you said, you know, like, we all have like a path, and like this path may be, you know, your doors may be opening here, someone else's doors may be opening somewhere else. But the thing is, each person's still going to be successful because they have their own path.
Absolutely.
And that's what
Absolutely.
no one looks at. Like, my path is not the same as Tonya's. Lynna's path is not the same as mine. But it doesn't mean that our paths are any less successful. We just have different journeys. But we can still work together as a community.
Absolutely.
And so instead of looking together as like a big picture, working together as a community, they're like, once again, ego gets into play. And they're like, okay, no, you just can't be here. But then you look at the people, right? And this is what I have learned throughout life. It's always the quiet people. I don't fuck with quiet people. I personally am a quiet person, even though people don't think I am. I'm like, I don't really actually like to talk. But like when I'm out and about, I just don't talk. But
that's true.
I mean, it's true. I don't. And a lot of people are like, she's not an introvert. I'm like, she could sit here all day, watch Netflix, drink some Gatorade, and be perfectly content in her world. But the thing is, the people that got, or, you know, the people that usually get people the worst are the people that are quiet. The people that people feel are timid. Because those are the ones that are doing the work.
Right.
They're not going to tell you what they're doing.
People what we're doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That goes back to something Tonya says all the time. If you're going after somebody, why are you going to tell them that you're coming? You know, keep your mouth shut.
But it's like, it's ego, but it's also like people want to put out this big puffy thing. And I say it sometimes. I mean, I'm honest. I'm like, why do people feel that just because I'm nice or this, you know, that I'm a weak person? Because that doesn't mean that. And I try to put out, you know, this kind of just disclaimer, you know, stop feeling like because people are kind or something that they're weak, because they're not. That takes a whole different level of maturity and caring to be able to, and especially in this world with all the bullshit you have to deal with every day, to still have a heart, show kindness, and keep doing what you have to do. But what I've discovered in the spiritual world is it's all about noise. Everybody wants a name.
It's true.
And what I personally like is, yes, I want to be successful at what I do, but I have also discovered it's okay in a way if you don't know me as well as somebody else, because it allows me to get away with things that other people wouldn't get away with.
It's true. It's true. I mean, you have a valid point. And I think a lot of times, especially in this day and age, because a lot of us are building brands, you know, we're starting businesses. And if you're starting a business, it's a little bit different than when I was growing up, where you would drive down to Louisiana and go to the back of the house and pick up something that the kids didn't know what you were getting. People didn't know that what you were getting because it was all quiet. It was private. You didn't know who was the worker, who wasn't the worker. And they even spoke in Creole, so we didn't know what was going on. They didn't want us to even know. Versus nowadays, where there's $1 billion business in the spiritual community. You can make a lot of money. Now, let's be honest. Most healers are not rich. You have a lot of them that do a lot of work. I do a lot of work for free. I don't get paid for. And it has nothing to do with promoting Divinity Diva Tarot. It's completely different. It connects with Mambo Tonya more than it does Divinity Diva. But Divinity Diva Tarot is a brand, and you build it. Now, I will agree with you. I don't think it's worth sacrificing my ethics or who I am as a person to get followers and all. I'm not going to do some stupid shit to bring people in. But we see it. We see frauds in the community. we see the whole, productions where people are like, okay, I really don't know what I'm doing. Like all these babalas that keep coming on my page with all this, come to my page, I cure herpes, I cure AIDS, I make you have 15 babies and one pregnancy, come to my IG and he's up there doing the robot with his little shake thing or whatever. It reminds me of like what do you call those ministers that, they tap you on the head and you fall back and you healed? Like snake man. What is it? What do you call it? Snake medicine? That stuff like that is not what I want to represent.
Selling snake oil and stuff.
Yeah. I don't want to, as a spiritual person, I want to help, but I don't want to be represented like that. But we kind of get lost sometimes within that.
Well, you can really do free readings and be legit without eating a tarantula to make a show out of it.
Who did that?
Oh, some stupid guy on YouTube to get more views and get more followers. He does stupid stuff like eat scorpions or eat tarantulas. He's stupid.
But it's like the people, like the pastors who are like, God will protect me from this snake bite. I'm like, who? What?
But that's why God told you not to mess with that snake in the garden to begin with from the beginning of time.
I'm like, why? I mean, they're just holding it, and I'm like, see, now you're gonna get bit by a rattlesnake, and both of them got bit, and then they both died, father and son. I'm just like, see, now you guys are just putting yourself on the line for some nonsense.
No comment. No comments.
One about the flood, and the man said it was flooding, and they said, "Oh, come on, you got to evacuate. You got to evacuate." And the guy's like, "Oh no, God's got me. God's got me." And then they come around in a boat because the water keeps rising. Come on, we got to get you out of here. No, God's got me. So it ends up the man climbs on the roof of the house. A helicopter comes by, same thing. No, God's got me. God's got me. He gets up to heaven because the guy drowns.
Yeah.
And he says, "What happened? I thought you had me." And St. Peter's like, he sent 3 different people for you.
He sent the helicopter, the boat, and the other people. I remember that. But it's sad because, I mean, I'm sure we all get them. All the people on Facebook who are like friend requests, and they're like Baba Lao something, and I'm just like, I can't even
say their name.
I'm like, I'm not doing it. And there was one guy. It was when I first stepped into, like, when I felt like I had to be in a specific path, and so they were like, "Oh, you need to get this guy. He's gonna give you a reading." He was in Africa, so I had to Western Union this money to him. Ooh. And he was like, "You got to feed the children under the trees some rice." I'm like, "What fucking children in my yard? What are you talking about, right?" Which kind of freaks you out because you're like, "What the fuck kind of kids are in my yard that I gotta feed some rice?" He's like, "The ghost children." I'm like, "Why are there ghost children in my yard? And we only have like 2 trees. So which tree are you talking about? You need to be specific." And so he's like, "Yeah, then when you stop doing this, then you won't be sick or anything." I was so pissed off because none of my questions got answered. And in the end, it was feeding the dead kids under the tree with some rice. And I was like, I'm not. And so I had blocked him. And then he made a different account. And then friend of me, he's like, "You know what? I think we should get to know each other." I was like, dude, no. And that is when I learned the definition of Hotep. It won't happen.
Oh, yeah. They come on strong. I think the whole thing about it is when you come into the community, you got to be really careful because we idolize people because of status and names and how they're presented. We know a lot of people in the community that have names and status that they can be kind of iffy. They really can. And a lot of people know, but we don't talk about it publicly because we don't want issues. It's almost like, growing up in a community where there's an uncle that's a pedophile, but nobody says anything about it because you don't want the backlash that's going to come with putting that out there. And that's how a lot of these babalaos and some of these people are able to keep taking people's money and doing this stuff because people they feel like, okay, they have power. They're going to come back and hurt me. They're going to come back. But unfortunately, like she was saying, a lot of these people that talk all this don't have it. They don't have it. And the ones that you sit up there on Facebook and they knitting and doing all kind of stuff and quiet, eating, Fruit Loops are the ones that are going to kill you. Oh, exactly.
Every
Are the
and I
ones
just
that's gonna
like
kill you.
all the
I
time.
got some new needles today, by the way.
Oh, show. You know, it's like Tanya, you
Mm-mm-mm.
know, I was thinking because ooh, you got a pack?
Yeah, it's to do Tunisian crochet.
Nice.
Never even heard of that.
So I watched it on a YouTube.
Lynna and
It
YouTube.
made me a really soft washcloth, and it feels good too. It's really,
Oh,
I'm gonna have to make you one.
well, go
Oh my
on with you. Yeah, I was like, I want one. So she go ahead. Say what you were saying.
I can't oh no, I mean it's true, like the really quiet people. And it's like I ran into this woman and she was so quiet. And you know, I was just drawn in by her. And she's not on Facebook anymore, but you know, everybody's like, oh, she didn't know anything. She's so quiet. She didn't really make comments in the group. You know, what she does is always like these warnings. You know, like I would not do that because this could possibly happen. That woman, generations of practitioners, generations. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and she was like, you know what? The wisest thing that I can tell you is you need to be able to be strong enough to make anything that you want happen. So if you're out there in the woods and you need protection, all you got is a stick and some salt, you better make it work. And I was
Right.
like, well, there's that. And so she was like, it's all about you. And I learned a few things from her. And then she's like, she had to get off Facebook because it was just too overwhelming for her. But she was quiet and she wasn't timid. She was just like, you know, she only said something when she felt she needed to say something.
A lot of elders in the community that really know what they're doing you don't get this big bang with them. You really don't, because there's some that have 30, 40, 50 years of knowledge. You know, they've done this. This has been passed down. And a lot of these young people in these groups can be so disrespectful sometimes because they don't understand that this person is not, you know, everybody's like, I don't want to be warned. Don't tell me what to do with my magic. Don't tell me what to do with my work. I get that. I get that, you know, we have these moments where we want to be selfish and we want to do what we want to do. But there are elders in this community and they're called elders for a reason. They put the time in, they have the wisdom, you know, they made the mistakes. So when they say stop, don't do it, there's a reason. There's a reason that they're telling you that. You know, and Sherwin is an elder to me, even though I'm older than him. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused because they always think it's the crone, the woman with the gray hair that knows everything and they know all the secrets. And that could be the image. But we have people in the community that have been doing things longer. They practice longer. They made a certain breakthrough in something and they're the elder. Sometimes when Sherwin is like, okay, do this or do that, I'm like, okay, because he's done that before. So he knows what he's doing. But we get some people nowadays, they don't want to be led by elders. You know, they, for whatever reason, they don't want to be held or limited by elders. But I think that's interesting, like you said, that this woman was quiet and she only spoke whenever she needed to. But she was trying to warn these people, don't do this stuff. You might get hurt. It's going to set you back. And I guarantee a lot of people didn't even heed it or take the advice.
She did a lot of warning on love spells. And, you know, of course, you know, once again, people get into magic sometimes, revenge, love spells, money. And this girl was like, I want this man back. He went back to his baby. I want him back. How do I get him back? And everybody's like, ooh, you know, you have some people who are judging. And then you have people, all you got to do is do this. And you won't get him back like this. It's nothing. It's real easy. And this woman was like, why would you want a man that doesn't want to be with you?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the question. I was like, yeah, why would you want a guy that didn't want to be with you? And she was like, you know, let's say you get him. Then he's going to be miserable because he can't leave. He doesn't know why, and it's going to cause some aggression. And that's what a lot of people don't know. When you do certain spells on people and it's cast right and they can't figure out why they can't get out, it leads to aggression. Which is why some people are like, be careful.
Exactly. A lot of abuse. Yeah. I think, and especially with love work, a lot of times with people, I tell them I don't fuck with love work. I don't. Because my whole thing is, if somebody is really the basics of what she was saying, if the person wants to be with you, they want to be with you. Now, you have opposition to a relationship. Say you're married or you're in a relationship, it's going well, and there's a third party that comes in. Hell yeah, that third party needs to be taken care of. They need to be taken care of because they have no right to be in that situation. If it's going to implode, it needs to be between these two people, not because somebody else is coming in. That I will work on. But when it comes to binding people, and you know, I read for a lady last week, the guy was abusive, he was a cheater, he didn't have a job, and she wanted to bind him. And I told her no, I wouldn't do it. So she went to some woman and paid her $800 for this woman to do an obsession spell and a binding spell. So not only to keep this man there, but to make him obsessed with her. Now this poor girl called me today. She can't even go fucking pee in the bathroom by herself. He outside knocking on the door. How long you gonna be in there? You on the phone talking to somebody else. I know you seeing another man. Now, exactly like you said, we know that this is gonna turn into an aggressive, abusive relationship. Because he's obsessed and he will not be able to leave. And I told her, I said, you opened up a can of whoop ass. This has nothing to do with love. Nothing to do with love.
Nothing at all. And it's sad.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, and it goes the opposite way too. When a guy leaves somebody and they want to mess him up, and then all of a sudden they want him back, and his shit don't work.
Oh my God, the goddamn penis candles, the barbed wire, the pins, and then they get that dude back, and he can't even raise his penis up to save his life. He got the whole.
Why doesn't it work? You're like, you fucked it up, like not even 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, there was even a guy that did one to a vagina. He wanted it to be dry because the girl left him, so he wanted her vagina to be dry so the other guy wouldn't like it. And so she ended up breaking up with the other guy, going back to him. And now he's talking about all the KY jelly in the world can't make that pussy wet. What the fuck did you think you was doing? You dried this woman's shit out. And now you want it to be wet. I read the post. This man is up there talking about KY jelly, spitting in it, sex in the shower. I mean, he's doing everything he can now to make it wet. And it won't happen. It won't work.
And he's gonna have to fix it. And then if he fixes it, she still might leave. So it doesn't matter.
Oh, I'm sure if he fixes it, she's gone. Because all that's abuse. That's abuse to the vajayjay.
That's just rude. It really is. I mean, I had someone contact me. And I understand why she was mad and why she was hurt. And this was one of those times where, you know, you have to be like, I want to do it. But your guys are like, you can't do it. And so, you know, I was like, this would be fun to do, right? Like, seriously, I think I could, let's do it. And my guys were like, the answer is no, because they're 50%, they've been 50% abusive to each other. And, you know, now she's the one that dealt with the brunt of it. Sorry, Sophie. And now, you know, she's on the losing end. So they're like, you can't do this, but you can tell her what to do. That's okay, I'll tell you what to do. But here's the deal. If you do this and you try to take him back, it's not going to work. This stuff is going to be all falling apart. So you need to make sure before you do that, do you want this person back? Because this has been a back and forth with you guys for years. You have to make that decision. She's like, I'm done. I was like, okay, but I have the honest feeling that something's going to happen maybe a year down the road, and she's going to want it back, and then the dick's going to be like just fucked up.
You put it out there, though. You made a really good point about divining before work. This is what a lot of workers don't do, especially new workers. I'm in so many different groups, and I've taken myself out of a lot of them because I get frustrated because the basic foundation of the work is not even set. And these people are skipping over major points, and that's why the shit is being fucked up. But in, I think it's the Voodoo group with Denise Alvarez, this young lady made a post. She wanted to get this guy back and make him pay for some things or whatever. And the whole post didn't feel right to me. So I pulled cards because automatically we just start giving out recipes. Okay, do this, do that, do that. But I was like, something didn't feel right about the post. So I divined on it. This girl was stalking him. He decided he didn't want to be with her anymore and he wanted out. And he didn't hurt her. He didn't abuse her. Oh, thank you, Nika. And I kept going, why are we telling this woman how to destroy this man when he really wasn't on the bad end of it? She was stalking him. She had mental issues and she wanted him back. But until he came back, she wanted to torment him. And people were like, yeah, do this, do that, do that. I'm like, nah. If we're going to do this, then let's look at it from a different way. But as workers, especially whether you're using pendulums, cards, crystal balls, bones, or whatever, you need to know what you're moving into, because if you come into a situation that's wrong, not only will your spirit smack you, you might get smacked by their spirits. Just like you said, your spirits say, don't do it. Give her the recipe, give her the bath, give her the cleanse, let her take that home, show her how to do it herself, because the whatever the consequences, she has to deal with that. But there's so many young workers that'll be like, okay, I'm gonna break up this marriage. I'm gonna break up this relationship. I'm gonna make this person lose their job. You know, I'm gonna fuck them up so their credit is bad, or I'm gonna fuck their business up. And if you divine on that, you messed up. Because if you would have divined on it, you would have saw the spirits that the ancestors were protecting this person. That's the first thing that I look at when I divine on somebody that needs work, that wants work done. Where the ancestors at on this? If the ancestors say, don't you fuck with my baby, I go back, I call the person, sorry, can't do it. Let me go ahead and send you to somebody else. Because the ancestors already were clear. Don't do it. But we get so many people that will not divine. You know, we're about money. I'll take your money. I'll do this spell. And then once they get their money, their hands are washed. That's why these girls and men can't go back to these people. You know, I want the money back, guaranteed and all that shit. Oh, you gotta be out of your fucking mind. No. You know. Yeah. Go ahead, Shishi.
I think the disappointing part is, like, you know, in the spiritual world, a lot of people automatically assume when it's a woman saying, oh, he hurt me, they're like, oh yeah, the man definitely, it was the man's fault. And then when you look into it, you find out this chick is crazy as shit. There's a whole different bag of nuts. But no one ever questions the woman, but they will be really quick to question the men.
I think it's because, and we know why it's because we can actually process that a man would be abusive to a female, because we've all been lied to, cheated on, left for whatever. So we identify with that pain, with that hurt. And before we even think about it or looking deeper into it, we're like, okay, yeah, he's wrong because he hurt this woman, because that's what she's saying. But I want to say probably 60% of the time, and I just pull cards just because I'm nosy. I want to know the story. Especially when I feel like you're not telling me the story. I'm like, nah, that don't sound right. Let me go ahead and pull some cards. And then it'd be like the woman is batshit crazy. She's batshit crazy. She's on the wrong end of the work. And when you help and support that, then that puts you on the wrong end of the work. Now her consequences are going to be your consequences.
Oh yeah, I hate to say it because I am a woman, but and it's true, the men usually are the ones that do the physical things as far as being abusive, but the women are psycho bitches, man. I mean, mentally will stalk people and say things and make phone calls and get our friends to make phone calls and get our friends to act like
I've been a psycho bitch. I have been a psycho bitch. I think most. Yeah.
I've never met a man that would go as far as I've seen women go. Women have no limit. They have no limit. They will put their sister in front of a man and watch her sleep with him and then beg him to come back after he done fucked her sister.
Yeah.
I think the other part is, you know, when you're a crazy woman, usually you have crazy girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have come up with a scream, like, I recently saw this movie where it was some Netflix movie and I was like, I can't believe I just watched this shit. But the girl has sent this man an email calling him all sorts of, saying the meanest shit to him because he hadn't talked to her in 5 days after they had sex. And it turns out he like had got into a country and got into, yeah, he got into an accident and he was in the hospital, and finally he wrote her, so she flew to the country, to that country, got banned from a hotel resort. It was crazy shit. But the problem is, I'm looking at this, I'm like, somebody actually fucking did that.
Oh yeah.
I know someone did that.
I saw that, but I can't remember what the name of it was. That chick, yeah, she was crazy, man. And her friends went with her.
I mean, her friends got it together eventually, but I'm just like, my friends be like, look, chick, you sent that email, you might as well block him and call it a fucking day.
Oh yeah, you have friends that would be like, she no. I mean, there's certain places I will go with you. I ain't gonna lie. I might go up to that boundary with you and be like, okay, yes. But there's certain places that I won't cross that line with you, and I'm gonna grab your braids and be like, she no.
I know. That's the bad part when you have friends. They be like, you crazy. You be like, but I know. They be like, no, but for real, I need you to sit down and realize how crazy you are.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to repeat that shit. Like, okay, so you want to fly to another country, go steal this guy's laptop because you sent email.
Or something. I'd go to Cabo with you.
It was like some island, and she climbed to the guys, and that little kid that thought
that little kid
thing have sex with him. It was horrible. It was so bad, and not once during this whole crazy endeavor did she say, I think I went too far.
Emotions.
I have to look at my history and tell you which one it is, Tonya, so you can watch it too.
It will make you so mad.
Crazy. It sounds crazy, but let's be honest. Most work gets done out of emotion. That's why we have people that fix people's penises and vaginas, and then they want to get back with these people because for that split second, they were mad. And they wanted to cause harm to that person. And then when they thought about it, I still love them. Then all of a sudden, it's like, what the fuck? How do we, because I see that so much in groups too. How do you undo it? You know, I fucked up. How do I undo it? And sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
It really depends on how well you did it. So it's emotion. And I mean, men are the same way. They're not as bad as women. I think they're a lot more secretive with their dirt. Women tend to be more vocal in you know, the online community. I want to fuck him up. I want to do this and that. There's very few men that will ask questions, but trust me, they looking at and reading the post and they're working at work and to their benefit. If it can happen to a penis candle, it can happen to the vagina candle.
Yeah.
So a lot of them they're quiet, but they're taking notes. They really are. It's interesting.
I think they just have to come to a point where, you know, I mean, first off, we all know that the most powerful work comes when you're in your emotions.
October 1989. 43.
Oh, I was like, what just happened? There's this man on the thing. I was like, our computers are haunted, y'all. I was like, I had questions.
I was kind of like,
I was like, what? But like, your most powerful work is usually when you are in your emotions. You're uninhibited. I mean, you're uninhibited. You give a fuck. I mean, and I've had that. And I mean, I actually still don't feel bad that I did it either. But I mean, you know, with 8-inch dick, Tonya knows, 8-inch dick, he was an asshat. And finally I was like, you know what, universe? He just gotta go. He just gotta go. He needs to get knocked off the planet. Then all of a sudden, like 2 hours later, I get this picture. His car is fucked up, got into this accident, squished like this. He's like, I'm surprised I walked out. I was like, well, almost doesn't count. I'm still mad at you. But then, you know, you realize, like, well, shit, he wasn't worth it anyway.
Yeah, when that emotion adds to that power and stuff. One of the first things that I learned is you should always wait 24 hours to see if you're still going to feel the same way that you feel at that moment, because you can do a lot of damage.
You could. And I think the thing about it too is most people, if they're upset to that point, they know in that moment, sometimes within a week. Normally Libras get mad and then we you know, I might explode and then I'm cool with you 15 minutes later. I very rarely hold a grudge unless you do something to my kids or my money, then I won't fuck with you for the rest of your life. But petty stuff, normally I'm like, you know what, you irritated me on Facebook. I want to put you on my altar, but really, it ain't worth the energy because I'm just irritated with you. But there are times, like she said, where I know I'm going to work somebody. I know what they did. I can't let go. And I channel that. I mean, I remember one time, and it was recently with a person that came after both of us, that I literally stood in front of my altar and chanted their name. And I told Spirit, I want everything that they try to take from me to be taken away from them. And I literally sat there for an hour and chanted that until I had tears. So when I give my spirits tears or blood, they know that I'm here. I have reached that point, and it makes my shit go through faster. It's structured, but it's intent. Like you say, the focus is there.
I remember when she told me that, she's like, I'm gonna work this person for the rest of their life. I'm like, that's gonna be a long working. That's a real long work. But I'm an Aquarius, and you know, everybody assumes that Aquariuses think they're right or they think they're this, but Aquariuses are actually really, they're kind of laid back people, and we take a lot. But when we get to a certain point, when we hit that point, then we just don't care. At that point, we've built up, you know, we've given you plenty of time. We've expressed it, you know, in multiple ways usually, that this has affected us, that, you know, we don't like that you did this. And then it's over. I mean, which is how my ex-boss can't have kids. And I did that spell at work and burn a piece of paper. She had to get somebody else's eggs.
I think the thing about it is, though, like you said, at that moment, you felt like you had to do what you had to do. I mean, you know, you carry that within you. Words have power. I've read your cards several times. You literally can speak things into existence. You can. So you back that up with emotion, like you say, a car wreck, something like that. That immediately is going to happen for somebody, because I've seen it so many times with you, just by speaking it. And that's part of your ancestors too, listening and saying, you know what, this is what she wants, we're going to give it to her. Now, I know Nika put a question up there where Nika was saying something about how she worked somebody because of emotion. She had just lost her baby.
Mm-hmm.
And she went ahead and did the work. I didn't see the whole question. It came and it kind of disappeared.
Well, she was saying, it was more like a comment. She was saying that she has thrown at one person in her life. It was a spur of the moment thing, and she was angry and she's moving off of rage. And she had just buried her baby, and the woman said something horrible about her not being able to hold kids. And she goes, and I didn't want her to die. She goes, but I wanted everything she touched to fail. And she said, I have blood and tears. That bitch still can't catch her footing. And she doesn't feel bad for it.
I wouldn't either.
No, not when it comes to the kids. That's like Tonya said.
Oh yeah, that's the comment where she wouldn't have been here. That's a comment where you know, that's too far. That's too far. But it goes to show the different tolerance levels of workers. Because she held herself, and she was structured enough to say, I'm going to do this to this woman and make this woman's life miserable, which probably is, to be honest, the worst that you could do for somebody, where they go their whole life and they can't get shit done. It's better to me, because putting them in a graveyard or killing them or trying to take them out ends it. But there's some workers that literally will make you suffer your whole freaking life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but you know what I have discovered also as a practitioner, if it's not justified, and I know some people are like, it don't matter if it's justified or not. It does, because when you have wise ancestors, they're not going to let you just fuck around with people's life just to do it, unless you have some petty ass ancestors, which many people do. Yeah, but I know, you know, Angela and I talk about this. She's like, well, you know, just because you throw at somebody, like if they did something wrong and the energy comes back, let's say, because it wasn't justified, she goes, people can transmute that. I'm like, but they can transmute it, but for so long. Eventually, it all comes back in a different way. So if it's somebody fucking with you and they want a baby, then they can't have a baby. It hits you in the spot where you want it the most. Where you want
you're absolutely right. What I've seen with that too, if it doesn't hit you, say you have your wards and your protection up, it will hit your children. It will hit your animals. It will hit whatever is something that is meaningful to you. That's why people don't understand. Sometimes when you think you're going to war with a person, it's not just you and this person. This is spiritual warfare. If it cannot hit you, it will bounce over to your kids. And that's happened in my household. Made me feel horrible because here I am thinking I'm blocking these bitches. You know, I'm ducking and dodging and shit. They can't get me or whatever. And I got a little cocky with it too. You know, I'm doing a little shake, brushing them off. And then one of my children got sick. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was like nothing minor. So my child took the hit that was supposed to be for me. And as a worker, that's a horrible, horrible feeling. Now, I promise you again, I will work that person until I take my last breath. And I hope to God that when I take my last breath, I take them with me, because that's how I feel. But you're absolutely right. You can try to transmute it. That's why sometimes, like I was saying at the beginning, my yard, I have a lot of protected plants. They took a hit. Something was trying to get in my house. Everything outside died. Everything outside died. And then it gave me the heads up, start doing your cleansing, up your protection. You got a worker. We ain't talking about no internet witch. Internet witch could probably kill like a rose on the bush or something. This bitch killed the whole front yard. That means that I got to pull out my guns and I got to protect my animals. I got to protect my kids. I got to protect my cars, because somebody's not playing with me. They're coming for blood. You got to be careful though. You can't always transmute it. It is going to go to the weaker links. A lot of people leave their kids and their animals wide open because we don't think about it. We don't think about it.
I think my cats have taken hits for me.
They're supposed to. Cats normally do.
So bad because Sophie got sick and she was losing weight and all this stuff was happening. Now she's doing better. She's gaining her weight back. But I was like, if my cat dies, as much as I yell at my Sophie, if that cat dies, I'm gonna lose all my shit.
Animals absorb a lot of negative energy, especially cats. That's part of that's what they do. You know, they come and they rub on you and they're taking things off of you. They're taking it for you. And that's why they sleep a lot, because they're trying to process and neutralize that energy. But you are going to have some people that are very unscrupulous. I think I read a comment where somebody was, I was laughing, but it was not funny. And it makes me giggle how devious the worker was, because the worker was like, I'm going to kill your cat. I'm going to kill your cat. And that woman in that post lost her mind when that woman told her she was going to kill her cat. That woman called on Jesus, Buddha. She called everybody down. Because she was like, not my animals. But that worker, I don't know if she divined on that to see that cat meant something to that woman. But she told that girl, all she said was, I'm going to kill your cat. And that woman lost her mind. Lost her freaking mind. So, yeah, you got some people out there, they don't give a fuck. They're unscrupulous, they're unethical, and they're not bound by anything. And it could be, too, the spirits that they work with. I mean, there's certain voodoo spirits that don't care. There is no fairness. If you petition them and you pay them right, just like any other deity. You know, I had a client that had an issue with Santa Muerte, and she was in a hospital and she was dying, and her family was like, please, you know, come cleanse us and help us. And I went over there and I divined, and I was like, oh, fuck, we dealing with death. So I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can intercede on this. I don't know. And then I went to my dead to see if they were willing to work. And they were kind of like, it was some stuff that transpired. It was some stuff that transpired between her and this woman put Santa Muerte out there. And then, you know, so we put Michael, we put a bunch of spirits. She's doing better now. But literally, when I divined on that, I was kind of like, oh shit, I don't know if I want to fuck with this.
Right.
Sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes you'd be like, may the odds be ever in your favor and just hang up. But then
Yeah. No, I won't set the Murthy in my bedroom at night looking at me over my bed like, look, I'm sorry, we cool. I didn't know, we cool. I don't know if that's gonna fly though.
I don't think it will.
Say, you know what? I'm gonna light a candle for you.
Because that's all I can do. I mean, because some people's disdain is so strong, and it's like you can smell it. And I don't know if you've ever read something, you're like, ooh, I can smell the hate coming off of this person for you, and you're just like, I don't know what you did, but
yeah.
You know, throw up the Mockingjay sign and be like, choo choo choo, because I don't want anything to do with it at all.
I think as workers, I mean, the great thing is that you don't have to be involved in something that you don't want to be or you don't want to feel uncomfortable about. Sometimes as a priestess, I feel like I need to challenge myself to the point sometimes of I think, okay, this is stupid, girl. This is really stupid. like you rubbing your feet in the rabbit hole and your ass gonna get yanked. And I'm like, because I don't want that coming back on my kids. Mm-hmm. So sometimes even as a priestess, I'm kind of like, okay, how do you tell people no? Or even as a worker, how do you tell people no? I want to help you, but I feel like it's literally out of my scope. Like it's I can't do it, or it's beyond me. Have y'all ever encountered that where it's like, okay, I want to help you, but I can't.
I tell them, the one person that I'm thinking of, and I'm not going to say any names, it was one of those romance things. She wanted this guy back. She's the one that blocked him. She blocked him on all social media, and then she wants to know when he's going to talk to her. I tell her, but it's not in the way she asked. What she asked was, when is he going to contact me? And I told her. And she's like, but we didn't have a conversation. But you asked, when is he going to contact you? He contacted you not once, not twice, but 3 times. That's what you asked. And so she's like, well, when is he going to come back? When are we going to be in a relationship? And I said, look, you need to really pray about this and decide what you want. Are you even sure you want this person back? You're the one that blocked him. There's a reason why you blocked him. No, it's not that person. It's a different one, Nika.
But see, sometimes people block people because they're like, I don't want to see them. I want them to miss me, and it backfires.
Right.
Yeah.
I've had clients too say, well, is he going to apologize? No. And most of the time the answer is no. You're not going to hear an apology when you hear from him. He's not going to apologize, or usually he's just going to act like nothing happened. Mm-hmm. Or if you got him blocked, how the hell is he supposed to talk to you?
I know. You're like, well, you drop by your window and just be floating there.
You got him blocked. So, I mean,
I think like when we talk about working, I got one pass and I'm doing this pass now. Like my guides were like, we don't want you to do it. And I was like, yeah, but this is my regular, and technically she was justified. And I want to put my energy out there to assist her spell for protection and the best outcome. I said, so what I'll do is I'll work the lady.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, this is your only pass. They're like, and I felt like they were saying, because it's 2020 and everything's already fucked up anyway, this might be your only pass. This might be your only pass.
If you don't get somebody this year, this is the year to get them, to be honest. There's so many things out there that could take somebody down right now. This is the year. You got somebody that you pissed off with, you've been pissed off, you might as well just go ahead and go for them this year. What else? What else could go wrong?
So far, it's pretty good, but I'm just sitting up here like, damn, this is a tough one. But then I hear my grandmother saying, so you could have just said no, been sitting here chilling, not worrying about having to finish up anything. And I'm like, damn. And Nika's saying, she's asked me for some before and I told her no. And I was like, Although even with Nika's, I have to say, with Nika's, I was very tempted. I was like, I have some stuff that I could do. And that was mischievous Shishi, which Tanya knows. I want to see how far I could push some baneful magic before I actually got in trouble for it. But I was like, nah, I can't do that. But at the same time, I was already told that Nika's justice was going to be coming at a really good divine time. And so when it happened, it was going to be great. So I was like, well, let me not interfere with what was going to already be.
Right.
That's
That's
the
why I was telling this person, you need to pray about it. And because she was like, well, he talked to me this way and he did this and he did that. And I was like, why do you want him back? You really need to pray about it and decide what you want. I said, there's nothing I can do. I said, you need to decide. And then once you decide, you need to not go back and forth. Once you make a decision, stick with that decision. You either want him or you don't. And either way you decide, stick with that one decision. And that way it takes it out of my hands. Because sometimes you get to a point, it gets frustrating when you keep telling people the same thing over and over and again, and they're constantly, but what about this? Or what about that? When is this going to happen? Why is this?
I break up with them. I'm like, you know what? This too heavy for me.
For you.
Yeah, we gotta break up. I'm gonna break up and I'm gonna block you and I'm gonna wish you the best, because sometimes you gotta let it go. Jazz pointed something out the other day. I can't remember her name, or else I would put it out there. But we have a person that goes on all our lives, and all this week she's asked the same question, and I guarantee she's gonna pop up Friday and ask the same goddamn question, and y'all gonna see me lose my goddamn mind.
Isn't that
because three to four people have already answered the question, the same fucking answer, and she goes and it's like, okay, you can't do what you asking, what you're trying to do, because you're not listening. You don't want to hear. You don't want to take it in. So you go into 15 different readers, you're hearing the same thing at a certain point. And we need to, maybe this needs to be the discussion next week, mental illness.
Yeah.
With
talking
with
about
readings and with work.
I can't think of her name. I can't remember, but I remember that happening, and I told her on my live, I said, didn't Tanya just tell you the other night?
The question I think was, why is my past holding me back, or what's in my past is holding me back? Now she literally has been on.
Why is my past haunting me?
Yes. She has been on Lynna's. She's been on yours. I've seen her on a couple of other people's. I mean, you know the question. I don't even look at the name anymore because it's the same question. And I swear, if she asks it on Friday, I think I might just lose it. I think I might 100% lose it.
I think she was on Tipsy Tarot, and I was like, because you let it haunt you.
Same thing I told her. Same thing. I think even Lynna. I mean, literally, it was the same answer for everything. But I think it kind of comes to, where does your responsibility end? First of all, as a reader, as a diviner, which is Nika say, I need to stop asking about the sugar daddy. You know, the sugar daddy might still be coming. The sugar daddy, so that's one thing. But haunting your past, haunting you, if you keep looking back at the past, what the fuck you think it's gonna do? Literally, everybody's like, because it's letting you, and she's not getting it. She doesn't want to hear it.
Well,
So
that's therapy. It's like driving in a car. When you're driving forward, you can't drive forward looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
What I stated was, there's nothing in your past for you. There's nothing there. You can't change it. You're choosing to sit there in the past. And I understand it can be a difficult thing, because many times, especially during this time, you're thinking about all the shit that you did wrong. 2020 is the shit year that went wrong in its own way. A lot of good things have come out of it, because we had a lot of entrepreneurs blossoming, people studying the art. Just like what we talked about at the beginning of the year. This is the year for the worker, the entrepreneur. All of this is happening because people are being forced to step outside that comfort zone and take control of their life. However, it's also the year of holy fuck, like if I hadn't done this 5 years ago and maybe made this decision, I wouldn't be here right now. And that's what people are looking at, because everyone's panicking.
Right.
Why don't they? I mean, this is the way I look at it. I've been through some shit. I'm not gonna. Tonya knows some of it. I've been through some shit. People have no fucking clue the shit I've been through. But if I could get in a time machine and go back and change it, would I? No, because I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have the kids that I have. I wouldn't have Lucifer in my bathroom, you know. And I can show him to you, but he's not as bad as you think.
What is
But
Lucifer?
I'll show you in just a minute.
Is he a snake or a lizard? That's why you're not saying it, right?
No, I'll show you in just a minute. But why worry about those things that I've been through and done? And I've been through some shitty stuff. I'm not gonna lie, and I've done some shitty stuff. And I'm not as innocent as I pretend to be all the time. But I wouldn't be where I was if I even changed one of those things. If I changed one thing, that butterfly effect would have me somewhere else.
I know, I'd be pretty rich, y'all. Now I'm thinking about it, because like my mom had me laid up and I messed up. I don't know. I might go back and be like, cool, mom, make sure I'm still rich by the time I'm like 39.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll go get Lucifer.
Lucifer.
I think the thing about it is, this is a purging year. Like you were saying, this is a year where a lot of things are coming to light and people they're discovering who they are, but it's going to require a lot of change, and people don't want the pain of that change. Some of us are going to be forced out of our living environments, where spirit is like, you've gone as far as you can go where you're at. Now we're going to move you because your next chapter begins. And people are literally, you know this, you 100% know this. People are having meltdowns because it's like, well, I need to finish this. I got to take care of this. I'm not where I want to be. And spirit is like, no, you had time. It's time to go. And I think because I get so many people during the readings that are moving, like relocating, and they're freaking out about it because they're leaving everything that they know and they don't know where to go. Everybody's like, where do I go? Where am I supposed to move? So there's a lot of things that I think are coming to light this year, but it's for the better. It really is.
I think for me, like, it's definitely been a tough year because, you know, when I look at my business, I'm like, what's going on? And then my grandma's like, well, you were supposed to be changing. What? Oh my God.
Lucifer.
You were a snake. You're so cute. Oh, you chubby ass cat.
He is big. Look at him. He look mean. Look at him. He's like, leave me alone. Oh, he ain't feeling it, Lynna. He is not. He's like, wait a minute.
He's a fighter.
He's so chubby.
Damn near big as you.
I think, you know, like, it's forced a lot of people.
Okay, he's growling.
Like with the changing of things, like, you know, you were supposed to be expanding this way, and maybe people have been fighting certain paths they wanted to go on. Like certain people were supposed to be doing entrepreneurship, you know, opening their business, and they didn't want to. And so now, you know, they're like, you have to do it. Now you have no choice but to take the reins of your life and deal with it now. And that's what's been so difficult for so many people. But then also there have been things that have been thrown in the mix that, you know, no one could expect. You know, and I mean, for some people, it has been the worst of years. Like one of my clients, her daughter's in the hospital. You know, she's dealing with the job thing, the apartment thing. All of these things have happened. And I'm just like, what more could you have asked of this person? Like, you got to spread the pain. It can't all be at one, you know, to one person. But it seems as though some people are definitely taking a lot more pain than what is normal this year.
I agree. I think the thing too is, though, it's going to open up spirituality for people a lot more, because sometimes when you start to get to that place, you have to connect with something to keep you going. There has to be something that makes sense, whether you call it on a god, a goddess, a deity, or Larisha, or Lawa. There's something where you got to pull strength in from. And that's why a lot of us will get back up and survive. And a lot of us are pushing through because we've been there. You know, like Lynna says, she's been through hell. when you look at her, you don't see that though. You don't. And I think that's how a lot of people are going to come out of 2020. Some of us are going to be like, damn, you know, I didn't even know I could deal with half this shit and survive. And it's going to surprise some people.
It is. I mean, you find your resilience.
I think in a lot of ways, it's just been and y'all are going to think I'm crazy. This has actually kind of been a good year. I mean, I'm putting Jazz's business out there, but I did a reading for Jazz and it said, now's your time to do what you've been procrastinating.
Right.
Got the time now to do everything that you've been putting off. Mm-hmm. So whether it be studying, learning more about your craft or your skill or whatever it is, you have the time to do that now. You have time to make videos. You have time to do more readings. You have time
to do what you need to. Absolutely.
You have time to clean your house. You have time to come over and clean mine if you want to.
She does. Come pick her up. Oh shit, she could drive over there. You're right. But I think Nancy put it that way. Nancy said that a lot of things that she went through that were painful, maybe she didn't realize when she was going through them, because you're focused on getting to the end. It always brings me back to babies. You know, my niece was like, did it hurt to have a baby? And I was like, yeah, I think a little bit. And she goes, well, I'm not going to have babies. And I said, well, guess what? TT had 2. And she goes, you had 2 babies? I said, yeah, because what happened was TT had a baby and she forgot what the pain was with that first baby, and she had another baby. So I said, I think as people, we learn, we grow through pain, it makes us stronger, and then the next time that we have to do something similar to it, it's not as devastating or as painful because we've already conquered that.
Right.
We've already conquered it.
You need to tell little Tori that she need to wait and not worry about till she's 30, then she can think about it.
Girl, she ain't having no baby. Tori was already made her mind up. She said, did it hurt? I say a little bit. She said, okay, yeah, no, I ain't doing that. So right now, yeah, she's like, no babies.
Yeah, that's like with Taylor. I'm gonna have grand dogs.
Hey, sometimes that's the best thing to have. But you know, exactly. I think like when we all did the reading for this, you know, for the beginning of this year, and when many people were furloughed off, some people were mad. They were like, Shishi, how can you say that this is happening? I was like, there's absolutely no reason for half of everyone to be off work and not doing anything.
Right.
Like, this is the time to get all that shit done. And you guys are so mad about, like, when you didn't have time, then you're like, oh, I have no time. Now you have time and you're mad because you have the time. You can't figure out what to do. And so now it's the time to do it.
True.
But I know for many people, like one of like the people I talk to, and even mine, she's like, you know, I wanted my business to be this way. And she goes, and, you know, during this time, I realized that my business was supposed to be something else, or I'm supposed to be driving my business to something else. And she said, I was fighting it so hard because this is what I knew. And I didn't want to step into, you know, something new. I didn't know how it was going to work out, things like that. And so I think, you know, spiritually, like you were saying, you have to step out on faith. You have to step out and say, you know what, I'm going to trust that however, you know, it may go, it's going to turn out to the best or for the best for me.
Right.
And I think that's been a tough
with the evictions and things. I understand people are worried. Where are they going to go? What's going to happen? Well, let me tell you something. If your landlord's a dick and he puts you out, you don't need to be there. So wherever you're going is going to be a better place for you.
True.
Exactly.
You just have to not stress about it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Why stress about things you can't control?
I did. I'm not gonna lie. I had a straight toddler. I had a toddler breakdown. I swear to God, I did. Like, I had a straight up toddler breakdown.
There is help out there for people, even when they think there's not. There is help.
There is.
You just can't. There are people that drive Lincolns and Cadillacs on food stamps.
The craziest shit.
I know, right?
they live in gated communities out here on food stamps.
Yeah.
But I think here's
don't be too proud to take the help that's being offered. This is not you barely even have to ask for it. You just say, hey, look, I need some food stamps, and they're pretty much like check. You know? You say I don't have a job. Well, okay, here's unemployment. So there are things out there, and it's actually, not gonna lie, it's actually easier now to get help than it was before. So don't be too proud to accept that help. Now, when you get your unemployment, when you get your stimulus, and I'm not talking to you two, but in general, when you get your unemployment, when you get your stimulus, put that shit in the bank. Don't go buy no TV, because if you're worried about being evicted, where the fuck you gonna put your TV? Save that $1,000, because you're gonna need the first month and the last month in a deposit. And if you got a dog or a cat, they're gonna want pet deposit. Save that money. They're I don't like this government, but
I think a lot of us just say that.
Take it and take advantage of the help that's being given to you. Save it, because you already know you're gonna need it to move. So
Right.
So put that shit in the bank. Put it under the mattress. Whatever you got to do.
I know. I was like, if they give that second stimulus check, it's going in the bank. I'm not going to spend it for anything. But what I've also discovered during this difficult time, and I don't know how long this is supposed to go, so I'm sorry if I'm making everything go over. But
no, that's right.
You know, during this time, you figure out the stuff that you are, how do I say, you're connected to, that you don't need to be connected to, the things that you're scared to let go of. Like some people are like, we need 5 TVs. Do you? Because you could sell like 3 of those TVs, have some money. And, you know, and this is what you discover, like, what is it that you're really holding on to that you need to let go of?
Absolute, girl. I literally want to get one of them dumpsters and throw my whole goddamn inside of the house away. All I need is a pillow and a mattress at this point. All I need is, and I think you're right. It's making you want to simplify things a little bit more. And you made a valid point when you said you had a mini breakdown or a mini tantrum. We have to let people know that right now it's okay. It's okay to have those days where you're like, what the fuck, man, is going on? Because we keep telling people, oh, be strong, stay strong, you're gonna get through this. But we gotta be honest that we all have those days where we wake up and it's like, shit, are you fucking kidding me?
You need to let that out. Don't keep it bottled up. And not just during a pandemic, but anytime. If you need to scream and cry in the shower, go do it.
Oh shit, a full moon.
Let it all out. That's the thing, though. It's funny because
go to the beach right now and scream and get the spray of the salt water on you right now, because ain't nobody's out there.
Except the sharks.
They don't care.
I love the ocean water.
I didn't say go in the water.
I love the ocean water. But it's like one of the girls I was talking to, she goes, everyone is always like, be strong, be strong. She goes, and I was strong. She goes, I did all the stuff I was supposed to do. And she goes, and then I got to the point where I'm like, how much fucking stronger do you want me to be?
Right.
And that's true. You're already at that breaking point.
But do you know how strong you have to be able to cry? It takes a really strong person to say, hey, fuck this.
Yeah. I think the other day when I was leaving the vet office, and you're absolutely right, because I'm not an overly emotional person. So when I get teary-eyed, it's because I feel it. 100% I feel it.
You cry once.
And Jazz was saying that too. She goes, you need to cry more. And I'm like, girl, please.
You're not a crier.
It takes a strong person.
But I used to be. I used to cry over everything. And I think it's because I've gone through so much and I know that it's going to be okay that I don't cry as much. But voodoo, seriously. But the other day coming back from the vet, and they're talking about, surgery and this and that. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to come up with $2,000 for that. He's in pain. I feel bad for him. We're in a goddamn pandemic. You know, everything just seems heavy, especially this week. And so I sat on the couch and I was thinking, and literally the tears just came, like cleansing. Like, okay, whew, I needed it because it was like a boiler.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like my head was about to explode because it's like, how do you make this right? How do you pay your rent? How do you buy groceries? And then you got an animal. And anybody who has an animal knows that when you go to the vet, you are never happy to get that bill at the front desk. I don't care what it is. But I think it's one of those things where I was like, you know what? Let it go. Let it go. I think a lot of times, especially now, we don't have the support that, you know, allows us to be vulnerable without people wanting to take advantage of it.
That's it. Or people expecting, like, you know, the fact that you're always so strong, and then finally when you're like, I can't take it, and you want to cry and you want to vent, then people look at you like you're crazy. Like, how could you be feeling these things? But people forget, you know, everybody's human. We all go through these moments. And sometimes, like, especially when you're so busy working for everybody else and trying to help everybody else, by the time you hit that moment, it's not just a one-day moment. Sometimes it can last a little bit longer because you got to clear out that energy from helping everybody else, process everything that you're going through, and then, you know, let it all go, and then come up with, like, what are your next steps?
Well, and tears are cleansing. They're very cleansing.
Oh, absolutely.
What was it, last week or a week before? About Walker having to go back to school. It's scary. And Walker's, oh, Mom, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And I'm like, look, dude, you're not the one that's going to have to bury your own child and it be your fault because I let you go. And these are just personal, and it's just off the wall stuff. But worries, if you keep it bottled up, it's like cancer. It'll eat you. It'll eat you up from the inside out. You have to release that. And it takes a strong person to be able to say, you know what? I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me. I just got to do this. I got to get it out.
I think as workers, as diviners, as spiritual people, we absorb a lot. And sometimes we can't transmute all that energy. You have to figure out a different way to release it. You have to. Or else it literally, I've seen some workers lose their mind because they're constantly taking on this person's problem and trying to fix this and trying to do that, especially even with Reiki and things like that. When you're doing a lot of energy healing, you know, you get a lot of attachments and things that come back on you. So it makes it hard sometimes because we don't want people to see that vulnerable side. But I do feel like that we have to kind of get that sacred space and allow ourselves to feel human.
I feel like as workers too, we're pretty up on cleansing and stuff after readings and getting rid of other people's bad juju, but we forget to cleanse ourselves. And, and I mean, not just the bads, but I mean, really from the inside, to be able to purge all of our own personal worries and stuff.
Sometimes we don't have time to think about our worries.
Other people's bad juju gets on us, and it's like, okay, fuck this, I gotta go smudge or take a bath or whatever, but we forget about our own shit.
But a lot of the time you don't have time to think about your own shit. Unless, like, you're forced to stop and think about it. And that's what I think, you know, like the whole mini tantrum that I had, you know, where I'm like, this is not going as planned. This is not, you know, what I had set for myself in 2020. And Tanya knows, I was like, oh my, well, you know, too, oh my God, this is some shit. How is this happening? But then, you know, I'm like, okay, breathe, reassess, you know, this gives me time to maybe go about things a different way. But you have to, I mean, eventually you're going to have that tantrum. You're going to have that big crying moment so that you can get all that cleansing from the inside out. Because really, rarely, truly, when you're so busy trying to read other people or, you know, do other things, you're thinking about your business, do you have time to think about you?
Right.
True.
Forget about you.
I think self-love and self-care goes a long way in the community because, you know, as healers, diviners, workers, you have to have a certain level of healing to be able to work with people. You have to. And some of us are work in progress where we're healing as we become healers, or we use that energy. And I think we have to be patient with ourselves, but we also have to know when to fall back. Because a lot of times both of y'all will tell me, get some rest, get some rest, get some rest. And
did you eat today?
Yeah, and because I tend to keep going and going, and I think it's because as a child, I was conditioned. You weren't able to sit. You weren't able to. We didn't have idle time. My mom didn't allow that. So now, whenever I do sit down and do stuff like that, that feels like a luxury or like I'm cheating, you know. And so I feel like, okay, no, you got to go do something. But it gets to a point where it's not really, it's counterproductive because you get tired and then you can't give 100% to what you're trying to do, whether it's your business, your friendships, or for other people. So you're right. We do need better self-care. I will 100% agree with that. I'd be the poster child for it. Like, yes.
Yeah, you definitely. It's true. Look, it was that Jazz or Jordan.
The name of that movie is Desperados.
Oh my God.
Desperado on Netflix?
Yes, Desperados.
It's gonna make you mad. You'll be like, what the hell?
Not the old country western one either.
No, it's gonna make you so mad. You'll be like, really?
You'll be like, I know that girl. That's Lynna. No, not really.
No, I'd be like, Lynna, that better
I'm gonna
not
have
be.
to check it out. Just because I'm gonna have to check it out.
I've driven all the way to Florida before. I didn't wear no damn astronaut diaper though.
I was like, did you wear a diaper? Because that's the first thing I was thinking. I was like, and one night with a diaper, like nonstop, because that chick was crazy.
But I always drive straight through.
Yeah, I know.
It is crazy. I think somebody asked the question if there was anybody else here. Are we at the end of it?
More people. There are other people here.
Oh, okay. Voodoo.
Oh, that's your cat. That's someone else. I was like, whose cat is that? I was looking for Hannah and Sophie. I'm like, Sophie's here. Hannah's over there. We're good.
Voodoo is jealous because he's the only cat that hadn't been on camera yet.
Girl, and he don't want to. Voodoo, come here. Come here. Oh, he want to eat. He don't even want nothing to do with me. He rolled his eyes at me.
It's like, you didn't bring him my food.
Oh, you bringing him? You bringing him, Voodoo? Come here, say everybody. Oh my goodness.
Oh, see, now he's getting all the loving and he's good now.
You gonna say hi? Look at that, got that hand. He like, look.
I know his secrets though. I'm not.
Oh, he's so cute. Oh, Voodoo.
Nah, he's a sweetheart.
So cute.
I think he wanted to outside. He's on the door. Oh, okay.
And I'm like, no one's asking any questions. I'm like, what's going on? Nancy said unemployment where she is shit. And I know Florida's having issues with their unemployment. Some people are finally getting paid out from like March.
They didn't they didn't even approve me. And I think that's the issue, is that you got to keep applying, but I mean, really, they already cut it. What they did away with the extra 600.
Yeah, this tomorrow for some people. Yeah.
But I think that's what's pushing a lot of people into entrepreneurship, because a lot of people are realizing, oh, I have this skill, or I want to do this, or I want to open this business. So, like you said, there's some positives that are coming out of this. 100%. 100%.
But it's also pushing you. It's got to push you. You end up being pushed. I mean, like we as workers, I mean, we've been pushed. Like, do you want to, like, is this where you want to stay? What do you want for yourself? And it's like your guys are like, okay, so you've been here, but now it's time to go here. Let's grow you this way, which is a good thing. It definitely is. But I think for some people, their gifts are also opening up a lot more, because now they're actually working on them.
I think that's why we've been going through this kind of blah the last week or two, is because it's a growth period, and people are just feeling, because I've been getting that a lot. It's like, I don't feel right. I'm blah. I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to do that. But it's a growth period.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people, mediumship is opening up more. And it's because there's so many dead that if you have the gift, you're now starting to see them clearly, hear them a lot more clearly. Because a lot of people are like, I'm freaking out. People are in my room, people are in my kitchen looking at me, and I'm like, it's okay. They're just trying to figure out where they need to go. So I think you're right.
Yeah. I'm excited for people too. I feel like for some people, they're like, they don't feel right. They feel like they're stagnant. Like I told Sean, like, I feel like I'm stagnant. What the fuck is going on here? They're like, you got to balance yourself or you got to do certain things. I'm like, oh, okay. So I take the time to balance myself. But then I realized, you know, I want this gift to be a little bit more open. So now I find ways that I'm challenging myself to try to grow my gifts and expand it. So now I'm like getting to the point to where I'm like, I think I'm gonna go to a haunted house, like an actual haunted place where you have to sign and let's see what's going on in this haunted area. And so some people are like, you gonna do it? I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready for that now. If shit starts flying like knives and stuff, then I'm like, y'all can have this whole damn house. But you know, other than that,
you gotta hold your ground. You gotta hold your ground. If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it strong.
yeah, The Shining. Do you want to come play with us? No.
Like,
I want a whole book written about it. I want
You
everything.
know it's gonna probably be funny. I'd be like, I ran and ran and ran. I hit the wall, got back up. I ran and ran. No, I don't know what it's gonna be like.
I want to hear all the details.
You should just come. We should all find a middle place. But you guys live in Texas, and it takes like 8 days to get out of Texas. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, because when we drove it, it was like, damn. Once we got out of Texas, we were halfway there.
Yeah, it should be. I remember I was in Texas, and we were supposed to drive to Oklahoma. And I was like, I'm sleepy. I fell asleep, woke up 2 hours later. I was like, so are we out of Texas? They're like, no, we're still in Texas. I was like, still? Go back to sleep, slept like another 2 hours, woke up, we're out of Texas. No, we're still here. I'm like, how big is this damn state? Like, how are we still in the state of Texas?
I left Tanya's house, Monday night? And I did not get to Portland. Well, shit, I didn't get out of Texas until Wednesday night? Took 2 days. Or Wednesday night, maybe it was Thursday. It was daylight. Because as soon as I crossed the border, they had like these border patrols. And I was like, did I fucking go to Mexico? Did I go the wrong way?
Yeah, it was a hot mess.
2 days to get out of Texas.
I can't be in Texas. First off, it's hot all the time. What you guys do have going for you in Texas is banging margaritas.
We have air conditioners.
Yeah, but banging margaritas is what Texas has. I'm like, fuck that. Everything else, I'm like, it's hot all the time. Like,
that's why we drink so many margaritas, because it's hot.
Well, see, I need my snow.
Where was that I saw it at? I saw it yesterday. Oh, on the seawall, they've got what is it? A gallon? Fuck, I don't remember. I think it was like a gallon of margarita for $50 to go. You could just like eat curbside delivery and
you gonna get some, Tanya?
You
thinking about it, huh?
I was thinking about it, but I'm like, man, I'm trying to lose this belly. That is no way gonna help me get rid of this belly at all. Gee, $15?
They're $50.
$50.
But that's like, if you think about it, a margarita is probably anywhere from $7 to $14.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And you can take it to go, because we're not supposed to leave the bar with those anyway. But they said, like, here's a gallon.
And a gallon of margarita. Lord have mercy. I ain't gonna lie, it does sound good. It does sound good.
I was like, I'm gonna stop drinking. And I'm like, it still hasn't happened. And then we did Tipsy Tuesday tarot, and I was like, I'm gonna get better.
Oh, are you supposed to be doing that tonight?
No, it's Thursday.
I thought you did it on Tuesdays and Thursday.
No, we do it on Tuesday. I was like, I can't drink that much 2 nights in a row. My liver can't take it. I'm already taking milk thistle pills. I'm like, just in case.
No, you better, like you say, be careful. Definitely be careful. I mean, I know you are, and I know it's not a problem, but yeah.
Don't do
but the thing is, I can actually really hold my liquor. So they're like, you're not tipsy. So I have to start earlier than they do. Because I could drink a whole bottle of wine. The only thing that will get me is Chianti. And I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck is with Chianti? Only thing that gets me.
I don't drink, but I found a wine bottle, and it was really pretty. And I was like, oh, Tanya would like this bottle. So I opened it up, and then I realized that I don't have any way to close it. So I'm like, well, that must mean I have to drink the whole bottle. Oh my God, I threw up so much.
That was the saddest story I have ever heard about drinking, because she wanted to give me the bottle.
But it was the bottle, was it not? The bottle was a bottle.
Was it a cat bottle? Because I have a cat bottle.
No, it's got like these flowers and stuff on the bottom and vines, and it's raised.
Oh, that's
yeah, I was working on it the other day. I'm trying to see where I put it.
I had one with a pineapple in it, and then I'm like, I can't find where that one went. But I got the cat bottle, and I was like, yeah, I'm never throwing away that cat bottle. That was a pretty cute one.
I didn't have a stopper, so it's like, well, I guess that means I gotta drink it all.
Seriously, that's, you know what? You didn't have to open it.
I don't drink. I don't drink. That's the problem.
Well, why did you open it then? She can have the bottle and the wine.
Whenever they take that breath and then and them eyes roll up, there's no good. There's nothing good coming out of that.
I'm just like, she's like, I just opened the bottle because I want to give her the bottle, but you don't drink, so why would you open the bottle? She can have the bottle and the wine and still have the bottle.
She did me a favor. I love you though. You could have brought the bottle over here full. I would have helped you drink it.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, you were not thinking at all.
Oh my goodness. You guys, I'm gonna have to get off.
I didn't know I was gonna have to drink the whole thing.
Look at her. Still, she's doing that's one of them ladies. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. She is not wavering. Do you hear me? You guys, I'm gonna have to jump off because my mom keeps calling, my sister keeps calling. So let me check and see what's going on with family. But I love you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, love you.
Bye.
Bye next week.
All right. Oh my goodness.